Hi and welcome back to my channel. I am Maria with myartpixie.com and I'm here to show you another book review. I picked up this Hello Watercolor. I was so excited to share it with you. It is called Hello Watercolor by Jeannie Dickson. The subtitle says Creative Techniques and Inspiring Projects for the Beginning Artist. So this is a great book if you are just starting in watercolor and you kind of want an introduction of sorts. It's thinner than the other two books that I showed, but there is a lot of great content in here. And she goes over some great techniques so that you can do florals, whimsical animals, and other charming subjects. So let's dive into this and see what it is all about. Okay, so there is a flap here, although it doesn't really like cover anything, but it does kind of tell you all that you're going to cover in the book. So tools, supplies, color theory, painting techniques, brush lettering, and step-by-step projects. So the brush lettering with watercolor was not covered in the other books that I got. So that is something new. And then it tells you a little bit about Jeannie back here in the back. There is a great index so that you can quickly find some things, but I just want to flip through here and show you, like, look how bright and colorful this is. Her style is definitely more on the bright and colorful, cheery side. So if you like that, that might be something that you'd be interested in. The illustrations are really nice. The photography is really nice. I want to see who published this book. So I think that the publisher is this Get Creative 6. Beautiful watercolor paintings that she has here, and then she also has the photograph of the actual subject as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. So here is the contents page. So she goes over supplies, getting to know the hue, which does cover color theory, the fundamentals of watercolor painting, brushes, and then step-by-step projects. And these are, I found these to be very unique. She does like a galaxy rainbow unicorn, whimsical fish, let's see, word art, and then sweet and tangy oranges. So lots of fun, kind of out of the box, not your normal or typical projects. Oh, and I did want to mention that this was published in 2020. So this is a fairly new book. So introduction just kind of goes over everything. She talks about what is unique about watercolor and how to challenge yourself, which again resonates with me. I like a good challenge. Even though watercolor can be intimidating at first, because it's a transparent medium, a lot of people are just kind of like, oh, I just don't even know how that works. And some people even get frustrated and they don't want to continue. So having a good challenge is good, but you don't want to get yourself frustrated. So just kind of working through what she calls a creative flow and just being kind to yourself as you learn watercolor. So she does go over some drawing techniques, and then she talks about the supplies. Everything from paper, hot press, cold press, rough paper, and that kind of thing. What you're looking for when it comes to brushes. There's natural hair, synthetic, and blend, what that all means. And also, I like this too because it shows you the flat, linear, the filbert, the round, the wash, and the water brush. So it covers all of the different brushes as well. And then the paints. There's many, many different kinds of paints. I know I have gone over this before. If you haven't watched my watercolor journal setup, I go over a lot of these things too, that you can definitely use what you like best, what you feel comfortable with, whether it's pans, tubes, or liquid watercolor. There's lots of different things available. You just have to find what works for you and the projects that you want to achieve. Oh, I like how she goes over the transparency and the opacity. Sometimes that can get a little confusing to people. So the transparency is when you can see through the paint. The opacity is when it's opaque and you don't see through it as well. So actually, watercolors are created, some are created more transparent and some are created more opaque. And so they have that different transparency, I guess, are properties that give it, you know, whether it like stains your paper or just kind of gives you a nice wash or that kind of thing. So anyway, they're all made different, lots of different things to learn about as you go. So don't be hard on yourself. It's a lot to learn. And another thing that I did not know this at first when I started watercolor, and this was years ago when I first learned about watercolor, but there's your granular and your smooth. If you're not very familiar with watercolor, like the granule, some people like to do watercolor paintings that have all granular paints. And some people prefer smooth and some people like both and kind of blend them together. So it's nice to know that the granulating watercolors are supposed to do that. I think in the beginning I was like, what is wrong? I'm doing something wrong. And it was that I just didn't understand the granulating effect. And so what it does is it separates the hue when you put it down, and it kind of goes into the little divots and grooves of your paper, especially if you have cold press or rough paper. Okay, palettes. So she talks about like the essential materials that you're going to need to make your own palette. The different sizes, material, whether you want plastic, ceramic, aluminum, and that kind of thing. She talks about your workspace. So this whole section is really setting up and getting yourself ready for success. So I like how she does that. And getting to know the hue. So this whole section is about color theory. I love how bright this page is, especially with the white background. It really gives you a nice, a clean approach to watercolor theory. Breaks it down into the different sections that we have. The secondary, the territory colors, and so on. She talks about the 3 properties of color, value, which is super important. That's how you get your shadows, your lights and your darks and your shadows. Color harmony, how color works together. I talk about monochromatic a lot. That's when you're using one hue or color. Analogous colors, where you're using 3 that are close to each other on the color wheel. Complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel, and so on. Okay, so again, that whole section before you get into the fundamentals of watercolor painting. So lots to learn in this book. She talks about control, brushwork. There's exercises that you can do. She talks about wet on wet, wash, glazing, adding texture, and all of those kinds of things in here. So lots of things that are covered. So I just love this page because my word for the year is joy, if you didn't know. And so I absolutely love this page, and that totally resonates with me, and the bright colors and everything. But this part goes into brush lettering basics, which is so much fun with watercolor, but it takes a lot of practice. And I believe she uses a water brush to work with this, but anyway, she goes over calligraphy, which is very unique to a watercolor book to also include the calligraphy as well. So if you're into calligraphy and you like watercolor and you want to put the two together, this might be the perfect book for you. She's got lots of practice. And then she also has drills, which is something that that I wanted to try. And so I'm going to go through these drills and really get that down. I've done these drills with pen and ink and with my Tombow markers, but I've done a little bit of watercolor, but not a lot. And so that was part of the book that I really wanted to look into. Okay, and then she's got this whole section that has step-by-step projects. I love how bright and colorful it is, and she literally takes you step by step. Everything is numbered so that you know exactly what to go to next. She goes through leaves. She's got a pomegranate here, feathers, fish, hydrangea, a succulent, oh, and then this one is the monochromatic moon, which is a lot of fun because I think she adds the salt to this, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, she does. So she uses the granulating watercolor, but then on top of that she also uses for texture the coarse salt on top of it. So this is also what makes this book unique, because she goes into this word art and how you can use watercolor to create, you know, different words. This is great for stickers. So if you're a sticker maker and maybe you want to try some watercolor stickers, this would be a great place to start. And then she's got some florals back here, which are a lot of fun. She's got like a loose style. So she goes over that. And then she goes over, you know, the monogram. So just your letter for your name or that kind of thing, but an initial. And then last but not least, she goes over the sweet and tangy oranges, where you can do a complete watercolor, large watercolor if you want to. She's got some templates back here to help with some of the projects. And then she also does some color recipes in the back, mixing and things like that. I don't think she says what kind of paint she's using. Oh, I'm sorry, it is. She's got Daniel Smith and M. Graham, Mission Gold, and Sidliner. Yeah. Oh, she also has Holbein down here too. So she's got lots of different, those are professional grade watercolors. So, which is probably why they're so bright and vibrant, to be honest with you. In the back, there is another flap here, and it tells you a little bit about Jeannie Dickson, and so you can read about where she's from and how you can follow her. She does have her Instagram account on here and everything like that. I do know that she has some videos on YouTube as well that shows some of the things that are in this book. So if you're interested in that, you can go check that out. But yeah, I really think this would be a great addition to your watercolor books if you are into having some on hand so that you can learn some new techniques and things like that, or maybe do some fun projects that you haven't done before. I am not sponsored or affiliated in any way. I just wanted to show you this book and let you know my thoughts about it, and just encourage you to build a collection of watercolor books so that you can try out new projects that you've maybe never thought about before. Until next time, bye!